So John Grogan knew what a model dog was. Instead, he was blessed with Marley, this almost uncontrollable canine. So what do you do with a dog like Marley? Well, some people would have taken Marley on a one-way trip to the SPCA. But Grogan did no such thing with Marley. Instead, he loved him. Remember, the subtitle of the book is Life and Love with the World's Worst Dog. I don't believe John Grogan is Jewish, but maybe he knows the story about the father who goes to the rabbi and says, "Rabbi, what do I do with my son? I've loved him, but I see he does not believe in God, does not observe the commandments, does not apply himself to his studies, etc., etc. What can I possibly do with him?" And the rabbi answered, "Love him even more. Go home and love him even more." Grogan does not love Marley because Marley is perfect. He loves Marley in spite of the fact that Marley is so profoundly imperfect. Grogan gives Marley the chance to show him how wonderfully lovable Marley is, in spite of his flaws. John and his wife Jenny got Marley long before they had any children. In fact, Jenny was nervous about whether she could ever be a capable and competent parent. If a child was anything like a plant, their child would be doomed. Jenny had a special talent of killing any plant she was given. So they thought they would start with a dog, but they never imagined a dog like Marley. With all of Marley's mishigas. Now, for those Unitarians who don't have Jewish family ties, that is picadillos, eccentricities, annoyances. For all of Marley's mishigas, Jenny saw that she could lovingly care for this added life in their home, and Marley thrived physically. But one evening, Jenny found Marley gasping for breath. She opened his large mouth and put her hand down his throat and pulled out some plastic wrap. She saved a life and was ready for parenthood. Thanks to this unruly but lovable canine, John and Jenny Grogan planned to start a family. When they learned they were pregnant, their joy knew no bounds. At one of the checkups, the nurse invited them to hear the heartbeat, assuming all was well. But there was nothing to hear. Further examination confirmed that they had lost the baby. The doctor performed the necessary medical procedure. John brought Jenny home, sore from the procedure and terribly sad, mourning the loss of a life that might have been. Marley was a dog of boundless physical energy. He almost never stayed still. He would lumber and swagger through the house, knocking over everything and anything in its tail's path. Let me read to you the author's description of the dog when he brought his wife home that sad day. Our rambunctious, wired dog stood with his shoulders between Jenny's knees, his big, blocky head resting quietly in her lap. The first time I could remember his tail not wagging whenever he was touching one of us. His eyes were turned up at her, and he whimpered softly. She stroked his head a few times, and then, with no warning, buried her face in the thick fur of his neck and began sobbing, hard, unrestrained, from the gut sobbing. And they stayed like that for a long time. I stood off to the side, and then, without lifting her face, Jenny raised one arm toward me, and and I joined her on the couch and wrapped my arms around her. There the three of us stayed, locked in the embrace of shared grief. Marley somehow had this amazing gentleness and deep sensitivity that what someone who in pain needs most is our presence. We can all learn from this. Our simple presence is not always so easy for us to give, friends. Staying and holding another in sadness and pain is often too heavy for us, so we run away, making the load lighter for ourselves. Marley put his head on Jenny's lap as if to say, I'm here to comfort you. John, a writer adept in using words eloquently, could but follow Marley's lead. We have much to learn from this world's worst dog. John and Jenny were finally blessed with a child, in fact, with 3 children, Patrick, Connor, and Colleen, 3 beautiful traditional Jewish names. I'm guessing that the Grogans were Irish. How would Marley, who had been an unruly only child, respond to the presence of a new life at home? At 90 pounds, Marley could have strongly expressed his displeasure. Yet Marley was the ideal playmate. Gentle was an understatement in describing Marley's relationship with Patrick. His worst offense was slobbering, which he just could not help. But as Patrick became a toddler, he would poke Marley, pull his ears, get up and ride on him. And you'll excuse the expression from a rabbi, Marley was happy as a clam. I don't think anyone reading this book wishes they had a dog like Marley, unless they love a real challenger or a bit of a masochist. I'm sure there are many days when John or Jenny ask, why me? In the opening chapters of this book, I felt bad for them. If only they would have picked another dog out of another litter, or if they had only gone to a different breeder. A lot of ifs. But Marley was theirs. And what do you do with a dog like Marley? You can give up on him and give him up, or give him the opportunity to show you the reasons to love him. And there were surely reasons to love Marley. And of course, friends, by now, you know that every time I say, what do you do with a dog like Marley, I'm not only talking about a dog like Marley. Marley is the poster child for the idea you do not have to be perfect to be loved. You do not have to be perfect to be lovable. You do not have to be perfect to love yourself. You do not have to be perfect for God to love you.